You need to elect a chair, so can I have a proposer for chair, please?
I would like to propose Sophie,
Yeah,
because
second.
she's done a lot of work on the finances with Rick.
You happy, Mark?
Yeah, second.
Yeah, I'm happy. You agree?
Yeah, well, I'll come and then
I'll come round.
Right. First item then, agenda item 49, apologies for absence.
We have apologies from Councillor Peter Howden and Councillor Rick Stevens.
Thank you. Item 50, declarations of interest. Receive any declarations of interest in accordance with the requirements of the Localism Act 2011 and consider any requests for dispensations in respect of pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest in agenda items. Lovely. Thank you. Item 51, clerk's report.
So we've received an up-to-date statement on our long-term investments, which now sits at 54,041.18. This is down from 57,196.34 that it was on 31st of March, but it's still in excess of our original investment. It's just something you need to watch. Myself and Rick have been working with the committees on the provisional draft budgets. The allotment rents, all 90% of them went out today. And just as an aside, we've got a notification from SSE Energy Solutions. This relates to Carter's Park, a pavilion and toilets, but it's the same across the board. Standing charge for electric is now 123.21 pence a day, and the daily rate for electricity is now 87.6p per kilowatt. So it's quite a considerable increase. Just bear in mind.
Thank you. And item 52, to resolve to approve as a correct record the notes of the meetings of the Finance Committee held on the 1st of September 2022 and to authorise the Chair to sign the official minutes. Proposer and seconder? Thank you. Agreed. Then you've got red pens, is that all right?
Oh, do you want to do that one?
Good.
Initials. Final initial. Date. Third. Initials. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Item 53, transactions for payments. So, we need to review 10 invoices.
It's only a little one, but cable ties, what do we use them for?
Yes.
Oh, that's boys.
Boys.
Mm.
What were we using? Oh, yes. The grass, the matting around the
right,
inclusive
yes.
swing.
Yeah.
Mine's not loaded, so I'll wait till it.
I'll go for the drop and go top up post office. Just
Drop
as a
and
new
go.
thing, so why not?
So we joined the post office drop and go, which means that we load up using the credit card onto their online service. So we've always got money sitting there, and then you get your envelopes, you upload the addresses into there, print it off, and then you take it and literally, well, you should drop it and go. But it also means that now we have a full record of the postcode and details of everything that we're sending, whereas before we just had letter to M. Smith and the date, so it's much better and secure system.
The SID mounting plates, I know what they are, but how many did we order?
SID mounting plate.
Yeah.
Uni
part,
part,
yeah,
part, yeah. Unipart 2. No, 1.
Mm-hmm.
1.
Oh, right.
No, sorry, quantity 3. It says number 1 item, quantity 3.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
about 3.
Because they're not they're very expensive.
And is that all of the budget now spent from what we had in for this year, or pretty much?
I don't know the answer. I'll have to check.
Jubilee Garden Electrics.
Yeah, that's to connect up the outside plug socket to the stage.
Is it all functioning now? Have we checked it?
No, we haven't tested it
No.
yet.
Been
So it
tested.
needs
All
to
been
be tested,
tested.
just to make sure.
Mhm.
You've got key cutting, Tomwood.
Yes, so this was, it's a credit, that one, it's a
Oh.
minus. So what happened was Peter had a key cut for one of the notice boards, and when they cut it, so they cut it in August, he tried it in September and it didn't fit, so he took it back. So our total account with Tomwood, we're now 988 in credit?
Yeah, 998.
998.
Mileage parade training.
That's
The
me,
staff?
yeah, that's actually me. Karen and I went to Horncastle for parade training. The actual mileage was a bit more than that, so I rounded it down to the nearest pound.
How many we up to?
That's number 6, I'm only 4.
Allen Keys.
Allen Keys, was that Amazon? Or- no, it was
Wrights Wares.
yeah, it was,
Is that for the set?
yeah, it's the Allen Key set for the Open Spaces team. It was ordered through Amazon, but it's actually dispatched by another company.
I'm not going to individually go through them all, but you've got your blue paper towel.
Oh,
and they're all done individually, so
Yes.
is there any particular reason why that's happened, or can you not
I
just not
have
buy in
not-
bulk?
We bought them in bulk. We bought 5. You know when it says on Amazon how the quantity
Yeah.
is, we bought 5. It gave us 1 order, and then they arrived in 5 deliveries with 5 separate
Invoices.
invoices. So,
The duck food, I know
Yeah.
what it is obviously, but is that the same sort of price that we always pay?
it's gone up by about £6 or £7 from last year, but it's still much cheaper.
How
than-
big are the bags that we buy?
Oh, it's for 12 It's food for
I know they're about the 8-9. I don't know what size they are. They normally last us quite a while, don't they?
Oh yes, we haven't ordered any for a year.
Mm.
Should be that one. 50 kilos, that is, so they are 4 12.5 kilo bags, yeah.
4 12.5 kilo bags.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more?
One more.
glue sticks, I'm presuming it's just for office use.
Glue sticks. Oh, yes. One stop, yeah, it's,
We didn't have any glue sticks.
no, we didn't have any, and I'll tell you what it is, where, Rick's asked me to make sure we have, we scan in all the invoices every month. Where you've got things like this ticket from Boys, you can't put them in the scanner, they won't go through the scanner, so we stick glue them onto a piece of paper and then it's much better, so that's why we bought glue sticks.
Is that all? That's it. Right, do we have a proposal second? Agreed. Thank you. Item 54, financial statement.
So we have a balance of 294,589 on the current account. We have 14,289, but it's made up of that.
Yeah.
It's 14,289, 357,5, 758, 357, 97, 28. Yeah?
Yep. Thank you.
Did you want to just, ooh, too far, do you want to just initial underneath?
Initial these ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Proposal second for the financial statement. Thank you. Item 55, review of outstanding receipts.
Okay, so the majority of the outstanding receipts are
Cemetery ones.
yeah, the cemetery ones. So Karen's been chasing.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, I think you might have a different list to me, so let me just bring up your list. Yes, so the first one.
Yep.
Now, there's a complication to this, but anyway, the person concerned says they've sent a cheque, but we've not received it. So if everybody's happy, we'll send an official letter chasing that and give a period of time of which to pay.
Yeah.
Because it's ridiculous. I know the original delay wasn't the fault of that person. The second one is, yeah, the second one, it will be paid. There was some confusion with their accounts department. And the third one, that's all okay. And then the fourth one is fine because it's August. It's Karen's chasing them, but they're all virtually current. Yeah. Sorry. And then we come into some personal ones, mainly for the transfer. Although they look like there's a lot of them, they all relate around the same two interments, so they are aware and they are being paid. But apart from that, everything is good. So there's not any issues.
The two relating to properties, presumably they're only a month overdue at the moment, aren't they? Just
properties, when did
Well,
it?
they just, the due date was the end of this
Oh
month.
right, yes. So they are. So
they now need to be
yes, the
reminded.
first one, and yes, and now we're into October. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was very surprised at the. Is it the last one?
yeah.
And not the last one. Oh no, the very
Not
last
surprised
one.
at the
Not
last one.
surprised at all. Have an issue every year, but the
Yeah.
next one up, I'm surprised that hasn't been paid. But
Maybe they've changed treasurer or something, you never know.
yeah,
Because I think the issue with the one above, when I chased about the other payment, I was told that they would speak to the treasurer. So they obviously, I think they've probably got a new treasurer, and the treasurer is not on the board, I think.
Okey-dokey. Right. Item 56, to review the provisional draft budgets for 2023/4. So, item A is open spaces.
And the provision is in yellow.
Yeah, that's the one you all decided on.
So, how do we want to go about this? Do we want to go through it one by one, or is there anything that jumps out to people?
It's the basic one is the very last page where you see, you know, you're increasing by basically 20,000, give or damn.
Yeah.
That is quite a considerable, so I think you're going to have to tweak around that.
With the project stuff,
Mm-hmm.
are we going to pop that into the relevant
Take the projects out, you
pigeonhole?
like for like.
Sorry?
Take the projects out, you more or less like for like.
Yeah, but you had 10,000 in projects last year.
Last year. Yeah, so like, the
Yeah.
youth area, pop that into.
Carter's, that will
Carter's
go to
Park.
Carter's Park, yeah.
Like,
I'm going to
yeah,
change that,
yeah, that's fine.
But for the minute, I'll leave them.
That's an organisation.
So is there anything, I mean, where we've got anything that in the normal run-of-the-mill stuff that
Your
we
normal
look
day-to-day
like
costs,
it's
yeah.
a little bit not quite right.
I mean, you've increased your grass cutting budget, because you don't know what it's going to come out as.
And the fuel massively.
And your
Yeah.
fuel, yeah, that has increased massively.
What have I done with 4400? I haven't put a narrative in, have I?
That's fuel.
Oh, is that?
Because that's,
Oh,
it's
yes, I
just-
haven't written it. No, that's down the bottom. I obviously put that in.
it's just appeared, yeah, but I'm sure £5 is fuel.
I've got it in, then it's in twice, which I didn't think it was. Unless when I put it in, I'll just check what 44, oh well, it is.
4 hours tree work down here.
Is it?
Ah,
Thank
Tree
you,
work.
it is, yeah,
thank you for that.
and Park Road Cemetery.
So, Frida's tree work.
Yeah, because you combined it all together, so that
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
shouldn't have it in, you shouldn't have it in the
individual bits.
individual ones anymore.
So that'll alter it a little bit then, won't it?
No, that's in, it's right,
That's
just I
right,
haven't
yeah.
written the.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's not in the figures. Your street furniture, because obviously that's not including your projects, is it? That's
No.
just your basic costs.
That's bins and.
Have you actually spent any of the money this year?
No, we haven't, because we were looking at bins, but the amount we've got in would only probably buy us one bin.
Yeah,
So it's, if you're going to buy proper bins, you're going to have to
fork out a lot of money.
fork out a huge amount of money, because they are extortionate for a bin.
So it's logically what you actually spending the money on. Because that's going to buy you a few bins or 2 benches.
You know, the bins that you did, there's nothing, you know, you look at them on the 17, they're fine, aren't they, the tarps?
Yeah, you just
As
need
long
to
as
get
it's
them
secured
done properly
properly.
and they need to be secured in. But we can revisit that.
Because obviously your street, that budget for street furniture wouldn't include repairs to any of the street furniture, because that would come out of your repair and maintenance budget.
I mean, the electricity's been doubled.
Yeah. It is mainly your fuel and electricity cost is going to be what's bulking up your stuff, isn't it? But
Yeah.
what can you do?
I mean, look, based on those figures I read out with the electric, it's ridiculous. You compare that standing charge at 123 a day against the domestic, which is 51 point something.
And
I mean, I know obviously with your allotment rents, you've allowed for in case that any are vacant, haven't you?
Yeah.
But like your major ones that you know are pretty much, once they've signed up,
For example, Callows is rented out to one
you know
individual,
that they're
isn't it?
going to continue, don't you? But you can't really.
Okay.
So when I looked back at the rent allotments, I'd carried forward the figures that were done previous to me being here.
Yeah.
But when I actually went and worked them out, they weren't.
Right.
You've gone 10% under, haven't you, in case
So
of...
what I've done is I've done 6 months of the old, 6 months of the new, and then knocked 10% off. Because we're going to get to a situation very soon, we've got to put that advert up on Facebook, but we're going to have more allotments than we've got tenants.
Because it's September next year, isn't it, that it goes up to October. Okay, so yeah, at least 6 months, 6 months.
And then the only other thing, I know it's not very much, but have we had any tenders for the holly?
Yes.
Ah, right, okay.
But I think we ought to
Be cautious.
of that price, and it might not come to anything.
Okay.
I mean,
So
the only thing
I
you can
think-
vote for is that with all your tree work you're doing, you can sell some lots.
Yeah, which you will get some back, even if you can store some for a period of
Yeah.
time and then sell them next season.
You've got that massive cedar tree to come down, and that'll be worth something. I mean, that's not, but
The one down
Not for next
by
year, but-
Edinburgh Walk is an oak, isn't it? So oak's really good. I
Yeah, so-
personally think you should take out the sale of holly and not include it. If you get anything, you get
It's a bonus, yeah.
I mean, the other thing
Remove it.
to consider is we put in grass cutting on every piece of grass we've got.
yeah.
And if things go to fruition as we're planning, or potentially planning, that may bring some extra revenue there. But taking the project that, if you take the £9 extra on projects compared to year for year, and you just include the fuel increase, that brings you up to 15,800. So you're not going to slim that down any more than what it already is.
And you don't want to not deliver the nice things that people want, do you? So,
To be fair, when you work out, because we won't know until December what the tax base is, but theoretically, the amount of new houses we've got, we should be able to charge, receive
Charge
more of a
more,
precept and put less up to the council taxpayer, because it's based on how many,
that's how it should work.
yeah, that's how it should work.
I mean, personally, your open spaces are your main thing that the majority of people get a benefit from. So if we're going to spend more money, then it needs to be spent more within those areas. Personally, that's how I see it, because that's what people see, that's what they benefit from. They don't necessarily benefit from some of the other things we do, and maybe we are going to have to be a little bit more frugal in certain other areas, maybe, and not deliver on some of the things that.
But you'll only know once, I mean, like you've got to get the tender and things like that. There's stuff that needs to come in, which will then inform your decisions of your budgeting. Once you then put all of these budgets together to see how it's working overall, it's then the hard decision of what you're going to be doing.
Cutting if we need to cut.
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't like to see anything being cut out of that budget currently.
No, I think you're delivering on
I think the
everything.
only thing we've got to take out is your sale of holly.
Yeah, your holly, yeah,
Yeah.
because that's it may or may not, and it's only a small amount anyhow.
Yeah. Well, it gives you enough room of, stuff that you can then do. So if you're not spending all your money on fuel, hopefully, then you've got a bit of wiggle room, but you can't not budget.
I mean,
for it.
hopefully we will be able to start buying in bulk again soon, won't
Yeah.
we? So that will help the situation,
Mhm.
because that will reduce you, because you'll buy it when it's a good price,
Yeah.
and you won't be having the fluctuations so
Mhm.
radically. So that could be hopefully a good thing.
Yeah.
With any luck.
So, any changes we want to make to open spaces, or is
Only just that,
I'll
taking out the
Taking out the holly. that everything?
Yeah.
Right. PR and IT. So, we looked at the phone and broadband. Obviously, we'll be looking at going to the VoIP. Well, we're going to have to anyway, because our contract runs out. And that will be cheaper. We've allowed a bit extra just in case. IT equipment was put up to £1,000 for upgrades to laptops, etc.
Which we were going to put 500 to earmark reserve.
Yeah, and 500 was going to go to earmark reserves, so we start putting away a bit of a cash sum, so we don't have to budget every single year. Email software and licenses, that's your Realtas and the Microsoft 365, and that is basically at cost price. However, that does budget for 18 councillors for the whole year, which obviously we only pay for what we're using, so it could be less, but we've got a budget for it. 3,500 for CCTV was looking at the cemetery chapels for next year, and a calendar of £500. It doesn't actually, it hasn't cost us anything this year. Well, it shouldn't cost us anything because
No.
we received sponsorship from businesses, but can't guarantee that. So
I think, yeah, again, that can be considered when you know how that has gone down this year.
exactly.
If it's not a goer, then there's no point leaving it in there, because there's no point spending money on something that, if it's really popular, it may be that you do it every 2 years. Because if you do it every year, it becomes too samey, and then people won't potentially buy it another year.
And like with the IT equipment, it'd be nice to put £500 into reserves and have 500 in your budget. But if you can't afford to do that, you just put 500 in your budget. Or you look at see what you've got left over from this year and see if you can put stuff in reserves from the end of this year. Depends on how things are going. So
Well, it's like CCTV. Initially, it was earmarked to go to CCTV this year out of our project's budget, because we've not spent anything projects-wise. But if we end up with £6,000 of that left over, obviously, then that's...
And go into your reserves then.
which obviously that will bring down the budget significantly because we've got about nearly £5,000 over, haven't we, from last year on PRIT.
You need to also consider that you've got to, if you're talking about money left over, you've got to start building up your reserves more. So
Your general reserves,
yeah, like your savings.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so that's the provisional cost of PRIT. Everybody
Yeah.
basically happy?
All that is?
Yeah.
We need to do this next one, because we didn't do it, because we didn't read.
PPS, yeah, so this one needs to be put together.
You haven't met as a committee
No.
to discuss it, have you? But
No, well, your emergency planning
you don't
fund,
need
you
it.
won't need anything, because once we've got everything, that's it done.
Mm-hmm.
Speeding costs, you've got your plates, you've got your SIDS. I think you've got to have a bit of a float in there, but I wouldn't.
Well, really, it's taking up the maximum amount of time it can because you've got 2 SIDS now. You've got all your plates. Do you? I mean, presumably, can you move the plates
Yes.
from?
Yeah, you can.
So, how many more plates do you possibly
The only
need?
reason to not move the plates is easy putting it up and
Yeah.
just moving around. But you can move
You can
the
move
plates.
them around.
It's not a
So do we leave a bit in there, say, I don't know,
I mean, you just bought 3 for £280, so put £500
I
in.
was going to say, if we put in 500,
Yeah.
yeah, see where we go with it. Because then at least you've got a bit in the pot in case we need to do something. I mean, if anything comes off with the speed watch or something like that, then you've got the option to do
You've got something there.
Professional fees, well, is this all related to your,
It was your asbestos
survey and registering of properties, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And what else was it we put in there
That
last
was
week?
just-
oh,
Yeah,
you need your
registry.
EPC, we needed the EPC, which has been done, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So that's
The
done.
EPC for here has been done.
Yeah, so that can be reduced next year, because you shouldn't have, most of that should have gone out of this year's budget.
But
If
even
it
the
hasn't
land
gone,
Valuations was the other thing which
Yeah.
we haven't yet paid for because we still
Yeah.
haven't.
But the land registry, the ones we've already started, which are going to take
yeah,
God knows how
forever.
long,
But that will
was
come out of
a
that
very
budget.
small proportion of that budget anyway.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you've still got the rest of it.
What's left of that budget at the end of the year will go into earmark
Yeah.
reserves.
So
because it's an
I
ongoing
would,
cost.
I would only put in something like, I mean, you're going to need some professional fees at some point throughout the year, so probably what, a couple of grand, just in case?
And what are you spending your professional fees on?
Well, your there might be something that you find that happens, you may need to do a survey on something.
Expensive
I don't
survey, a couple of grand.
Well, all right, then put in 1,000.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to need, because I mean that money is going to go into reserves for the asbestos survey and the land registry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Any leftover.
I mean, there may be legal fees that you might have to, depending on, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen with regard to a property or things like that.
So £1,000 is, because we didn't used to budget for that at all anyway,
No.
before we did the others, did we? So
Let's put 1,000 in
Mhm.
and see where we go. Property rents, again, just carried over from years before, but when you go back, you realise
They were
over budgeted for.
wonderful.
Yeah. Well, some were, like the first one was, the second one, no,
Under budgeted.
under
The
budgeted.
rest of them over budgeted.
So going through them property by property, repairs and maintenance.
See, it's much easier from my point of view if I know I've got a pot of X amount that can be spent on all properties, because individual properties you don't know what's going to need to be happening year on year.
Yeah. But
I
then
mean,
you've got your cemetery chapels, that is a
yeah,
separate.
that is a separate.
And Coombe Road, you always used to have a separate part.
Yeah,
So it's what you want to.
I mean we've got potentially 4A and 4 and 2. There may be some maintenance that needs to be done with those, depending on whether we can actually resolve the roof space issue with 2.
But normally it was
Because the
4.
fascia is
It's
looking a bit
5-4 currently.
5-4.
Yeah, 'cause
That
you
was
got-
what last year was.
Yeah, but it's not as much as that, because some of that was just for specific things.
Yeah, so, but your one that you knew used to
Coombe
budget for
Road,
was
yeah.
actually for 4, 4A and 2.
Yeah.
That was your property
Yeah.
repairs.
1,400.
So that's
Yeah.
6,
And you know
6,
you're more
6.
likely to spend money on one of them than the other ones, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, are you going to go for the same 1,500?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But just for the ease of this, shall we put 500 in each?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Do that.
Because we can always
You can move it around,
round it
yeah.
around.
but it
Repairs
just
and
makes it
maintenance.
easier.
And repairs and maintenance, 5, so that's
That's fine.
1,500. Going back to the top.
So the council tax properties is just in case 4A becomes vacant, is it?
Yeah. But you know, you have to be vacant for quite some time to eat up that amount of money.
It would.
It would.
It's the first month
It's free.
is free.
It's 10%, isn't it? Is it 10%?
No,
No,
first month is
Or
free.
it's just
No, I mean after that.
No,
it is
full cost.
full
Is
cost.
it full cost?
Yeah, it is. You know, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's not very much per month, is it? And it would never be empty for that length of
No.
time. I mean, if you're allowed for, say, a couple of months, tops.
Is it 200?
Yeah.
Yeah, 200 quid.
Because it's just in case you need to do any maintenance to it, so it has to stay empty for a period of time before you can re-let it.
Professional fees is that basically, that is accurate.
That is accurate.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to consider the fact it may go up.
I don't think it's likely to go up. The only time it will go up is if you increase the...
No, it's
Well, no, because
free.
it's a flat fee, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's just everybody's having to put their prices
Yeah,
up.
it may
aren't
go,
they?
yeah, I mean, you could add another
100.
Yeah, 100 just in case.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Kubro here.
Coombe repairs and
Yes,
maintenance.
when you look at the rent received against, that's quite,
Against our expenditure.
the business rates are hard to ascertain. I think they're accurate, but because we had this, we are in credit, I've got to request the money back because we've been being charged for things we haven't got, but I hope that's correct.
In relation to the electric and gas, that's for the whole unit.
Yeah,
Do we then bill that out?
No, we
No.
don't currently, but I think we may, I think
I
It
think
was
you're going to have
something
to
we
do an
discussed.
additional payment or up their rents to cover it.
we discussed it at PPES, because obviously everything's going up.
Yeah.
And we don't know until this winter starts as to how that's going to impact on us yet.
Yeah.
But if it means that we're losing out, we may have to ask for a flat.
I was going to say, 'cause
Amount.
if judging by what you've got here, that's in effect doubling what you've got.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well,
Exactly.
I've just worked it out, the direct debit's now gone to, worked it out and then forgot what it was. Yes, 3,840, and the direct debit is always less than what we use, so that's why I put in 5,000.
I mean,
It seems crazy, it's totally
I
crazy.
think you do.
hopefully this year the cost effectiveness of having a new boiler will kick in, hopefully, but then you've got your costs have all gone up.
But even if
So-
you add a very small proportion to each person's, because for example, your people in your other properties,
They have to pay for all
they're
that.
on a full repair lease, they're paying all their electric and stuff,
Yeah,
whereas
and
the
actually
people in this
most of these-
property don't pay
Actually,
anything.
we need to, are any of them up for their 18-month review soon? We need to double
Two
check
of
on them,
them were February this year.
so they're nowhere near.
I don't think,
There's nobody then, is there?
one might, but I'll have to
Yeah,
go.
we need to check on
I'll have
that.
to update, 'cause I had that, did it all on the spreadsheet, didn't I?
Because the only thing we can do is, once we've had a couple of months of bills coming in, if we think it's not right, we'll just have to write to them all and say, unfortunately, we'll need a contribution towards.
Yeah,
That's all we can do.
yeah, I think you'd have to do that.
So
you-
are you happy with what I've put in for electric and gas?
I think,
I don't think you can go any less, to be fair.
no.
Are you putting in the repairs and maintenance for the, I'm presuming the windows come out of this,
That's the this
This
financial year.
so are you putting a figure in for repairs and maintenance, because currently you haven't got anything?
Yeah, because your repairs and maintenance, the EMR is your Windows 6,800, isn't it? So £4,000 a year for repair and maintenance?
No, I think that, did that include the,
Boiler.
That
no, that included the decorating the windows, didn't it? I think
Right.
normally it's about 2 we
Yeah.
normally allocate.
So what you've got left from there at the end of the year will go into EMR,
Yeah,
and then you'll have another, so what will you do, put 2?
yeah, 2, I think.
But how much, what do you actually need to do?
Well, it's things like if you got any, you know, if your boiler were to go wrong and you needed to have that repaired, if you need any lighting changing, or if you've got a problem with your fire alarm or stuff like that, and you have still got 1 or 2 areas whereby you've still got a bit of wood knocking around in certain bits that we need to just be
Yeah.
mindful of.
Got that, like problems with the ceiling.
Yeah, we've got that.
And
And we've got to repoint that front as well,
Yeah,
haven't we?
and
So there's
secondary
bits and
glazing,
pieces. Yes.
Yeah.
Which hopefully, if we've got a bit left over, we can
Yeah.
get
So
that.
that's
message.
fine, but your EMRs you don't need in this
No,
year's
no.
budget because they're just going to
No.
disappear on this, so that's fine.
Um,
Found hall, it's
Right.
just rents received.
yeah, so there, with the rent there, there's also a contribution to
Insurance.
insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't shown that on here.
Oh, you haven't, okay.
No.
So, yeah, I mean,
Because
probably
it's just roughly based on,
so you want to pop that in with the rents received and add that to it.
well, it should really, sorry, I don't know why this is deciding to do this.
Because presumably they just pay it one lump sum, don't they?
Yeah, but then it gets allocated to admin insurance. So,
Right, yeah.
yeah,
It offsets your insurance costs.
in admin.
Okay.
So when we do admin, we've got to remember that £100. Cemetery chapels.
Well, we agreed as a provisional, didn't we?
Yeah, which is massive.
Which is massive, 50,000. Yeah. We're meeting with the Conservation Officer Wednesday to talk through plans, what we're thinking. But that was doing a lot of, it's basically mainly the windows of one side, repairing them. And until we've got a proper cost, we are estimating based on what we know other projects have cost. But that would make that a usable wedding funeral venue, and you'd get the income from it, which is what the planning application was originally for, wasn't it, for weddings and events and venue and stuff like that. So it would be a good long-term project because you'd get your income back from it, but
You've got to put a lot of money in the first place.
you've got to put a lot of money in the first place, and the problem is a lot of money hasn't been put in over the years, has it? So, But yeah, the main cost of that is the windows.
We need to get some pricing.
The rest of it is not going to cost too much based on the plans.
And what condition is the windows in?
Some are
Very
quite
shabby.
poor.
They've had nice little vents added on to them over the years, shall we say. I mean, a lot of the lead work probably is okay, it just needs some of the glazing replacing. It depends on the extent of the repair that they need to do. But there are some sections that have just been taken out completely. But that would just be the windows for one chapel, not for the other one.
I mean, the reason I was basing it on that is having been part of when the church were looking at the tower project. Originally, they were looking to do the west window with that as well. I know it's stained glass, but similar sort of thing. And that was, at that time, we were talking 35,000, and that's 3-4 years ago now. So,
There's smaller windows, but there's more of them, isn't there?
yeah.
So we need to get...
If we can get some
proper-
pricing, then we can probably drop that figure a bit. But
Yeah, but that's worst case scenario. But even if you say, you know, if you did the same figure as what you've done this time, and you can get the windows done, and then basic repairs to make it usable, you can then start generating income.
I think if we can, I know it's a big figure, but if we put it in initially at 50, if we have to reduce it down, if we reduce it down to, like Sophie's just saying, the same figure as what we've included this year,
Well, that's about 37, isn't it?
yeah, then you know that it's going to balance
It's not an
out.
actual increase to the precept because it was budgeted for last year, so.
And we probably will know a lot more. I found about, well, there's 2 fairly local companies that do lead work repairs and stuff. So hopefully we can get them out now that we can gain access to the chapels again. We can get them out and have a look, and then that'll inform us for the actual figure that we need in there.
We'll put it in at 50, even if we need to adjust it, just it.
Yeah.
Electricity needs doubling,
Electricity, now,
if we're
the-
following the
at
same.
this precise moment, the bulk of that is the standing charge.
Because it's not being used.
It's not being used. However, which is obviously going to go up, if you're going to do work on it, you need electricity in there. So you can't get the supply cut because it's just silly.
And you're also looking at putting CCTV in there, which will be connected to the electricity.
Yeah. So you
So
need it there. So
you're gonna have
what,
to
you're
put
going to have
it out,
350.
Yeah, up it.
The next one on your list, things go up. So what would you say, 1,700?
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that's based on the full amount?
I'm presuming though we would need to put in a figure for the remainder of it as well. The 2 that follow that one,
The remaining
Yeah.
the
one?
services.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that will have to be
services.
discussed in closed session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Football club, and then Beach Bank. So, as you can see,
Yeah.
your figures, do you know what that comes out at? No, that can't be right. Hang on a minute.
And then we haven't budgeted, so the pavilion, yeah, because the electric is a whole car's park, isn't it? But we haven't budgeted anything for rents received for that, have we?
No.
Obviously, we don't know what it's going to be, but we're going to
It
set
will
a
be-
price for hire, aren't we?
Yeah, it'll be more than what we're getting currently. So, off the top
£100?
of my head, I would go 200, I would say,
£200 income.
potentially.
Quite every little helps, doesn't it?
Oh, you never know, do you?
Offset things.
Because if we base it on what we were going to be charging, had they have gone
Yes,
the other route,
Mm-hmm.
it was even more than that, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was.
I was going to say the next one is nothing for what it is.
No.
No.
And we've just missed a review period for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately. That's why we do need to update the list. I'll put it on our agenda for next time, and we'll have an updated list,
Yeah.
and then we can keep an eye on it, and then we know
Yeah. So
what's coming up.
what were you adding in for increasing rent? Sorry,
Pavilion.
The pavilion, how much?
£200. Estimating.
200.
Yeah.
So 49,900 against 57,000. Sorry, 5,786.
But that's because the 32,000
was in the
in reserves. Yeah,
in my
so-
reserves.
So
Yeah.
37
Yeah.
compared to what?
49,900
Mm-hmm.
against 5,780, so nearly 5,800.
Yes.
13k difference.
Yeah.
So in
Real
reality, it's not.
And most of that's your electricity cost, isn't it? Roughly.
Yep.
Yeah. And then do you just want to discuss that section in closed session in a bit more detail?
You can do, yeah. So
Proposed order on the agenda.
So that's PPS. So propose, Mark second, Isabel agreed to move to closed session. Can I have a proposer to reorder the
Yeah.
agenda, please? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Agenda to the end of the meeting, okay.
Right.
So then we move to events.
Fairly self-explanatory. We've just jiggled the figures a little bit. We've added in a bit more because of coronation. We haven't allowed any income for events currently because it's an unknown quantity, but most of them do. There's the option to gain some income from
Well, we're
bigger
looking at
events.
Probably Christmas fair and car show because they'll be in their second/third year.
So
Charging
overall,
the
what
stall holders.
I mean, how many? I'm just thinking, if you had a flat rate of, I don't know, 20 quid per stall. So
Well, how much did we make on the raffle?
200 and some odd. I don't know, I can't remember now. Well, I don't know actually, because
Yeah,
the raffle on its own, because the prizes were sponsored, weren't they?
Yes, the
I'll
prize
show
is
this
sponsored, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it all went a bit
Shows
cropped
it
up,
doesn't
didn't
show
it?
it there. I'd have to look in because of the way we did it. We don't have a.
Yeah.
But
an
say
income
you
as
charge,
such.
so if you're charging each stall holder at the car show,
Yeah.
how many stalls do we have?
Well, say if
10?
If you had 10, so
Minimum,
say,
if
if
you
you
have
said
10.
you were charging them 20 quid each, so it's not anything major, you know. Well, it's no more that it's
no
a
more
lot
than
less than
yeah.
they've been paying elsewhere, and it's less than some of them actually donated to us
Yes, it is
at
true.
the end of the event, isn't it?
And it's less than
In
the
reality.
events charging
Yeah.
holders.
Yeah. So if you
Yeah.
say 20 quid each, and then the same sort of idea for your Christmas one, I mean currently we're running at about,
At least 20 stalls.
so
Also
you're
the
going to
birthday
pretend,
days.
I would put in a figure of
But then
500.
you don't want to probably charge as much at Christmas because you've got a lot of
Yeah.
smaller craft stalls, haven't
Okay.
you?
So then if you, or put in a figure of,
So if you say car show, £200 on the income, and then do you want to budget anything for raffle or not?
That sort of comes out of your 2000 budget, doesn't it?
Right, so if we do £200 income for car show, minimum, and then for Christmas, what, I mean, how many stalls?
Well, if you've got double the stalls, then you're going to charge half the price. It's the same
Same
amount.
Yeah, same amount, so yeah.
Yep. So another 200 quid, yeah, take it down a bit.
It all
That
helps,
brings
doesn't
it
it?
down by 4, so that
Mhm.
makes it 7,600.
And then we are budgeting for purchasing some,
Yeah, some
Tables
items that'll
and
be
chairs and
utilised for all
marquees
sorts
and
of
stuff like
things, which again, depending on how things pan out this year, may or may not come out of this year's budget. So it may not need to be in next year's budget. But we'll know better once we get to the end of
Well, if
everything.
they're pushing to shove, you can just put in the earmark reserves anyway,
Yeah.
if you leave it in there.
yeah, you can do, yeah. Right, that's all the budget's done, so item 57, bank mandate, which resolved to recommend full council to add the assistant clerk to the Barclays banking mandate.
Now the deputy clerk, but
Now the deputy clerk, yes. Proposal? Seconded? Agreed? Thank you.
How many have we got on the Monday currently?
good questions. Is you, me, Rick, Stephen. Yeah,
Is that it?
yeah.
So 5 with Karen.
So do we want to add anybody else whilst we're at it? That's all I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, when you and back in June, you were away,
Yeah.
Rick was away the same week,
Yeah.
and so it left Stephen and I were the only ones that could do it. I mean, we could ask,
Do we want somebody from outside of finance? I mean, I do Stephen's outside of finance, isn't it?
Yeah. Is it got to be somebody available to be able to make the payments for the day?
Ideally, it does.
yeah,
doesn't
probably
it?
somebody that's available during the day.
To do the
Because
payments.
if you go over business hours, then they can dump the money back out.
Yeah.
It's not been authorised, so it's a bit of a scary bit.
I mean, the only other person on finance that is available during the day is Peter, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you're available, but my thoughts before were always that I don't think it's right to have 2 family members, because it's
Yeah.
not sensible.
No, it isn't, no. I haven't
So,
thought about it.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
suggest that.
Yeah.
Well, you can ask Peter
Well,
if he would do
it's
it.
recommended full council, so if you ask Peter for full council, then you can,
Just as another backup,
Yeah.
because else, you know,
we
don't
can
want to
ask
be in a
him and
situation
then
whereby we-
agree at
Yeah.
full council comment. Yep. Right. Item 58, confirm date and venue of the next finance committee meeting, which is on Monday, the 7th November at 5 o'clock.
Is 5 o'clock too early for you, Mark?
If it's on a Monday, 1/4 is better.
Okay.
Quarter past 5.
7.
I'll finish, I don't finish till 4:30, so
Mm-hmm.
it's
It's
a
a bit
bit,
of a push.
yeah.
Yeah, we can move it back 15 minutes.
Alright, we'll close the open session at 6 o'clock. That's nice.